Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. This is the week 7 update on my Alpine Pond Ecosphere Revisited, and I would say that it's pretty clear at this point that compared to the first sample, this sample definitely is lacking in terms of total microorganism density and diversity. I think that the main cause of this steady and pretty severe decline is definitely climate change and just a overall decrease in health of the local surrounding habitat. Even when collecting the actual sample, I noticed that a lot of the greenery wasn't really green. It was dying off. There was much less wildlife in general, less local birds. I didn't spot any snakes either along the trail like I did the first time I was collecting the Ecosphere. And overall, the entire habitat seemed way more desolate. I think these are very concerning observations, and I think those major observations are also seen or kind of prevalent within this ecosphere as well. It's kind of a microcosm, as I mentioned earlier. There's just a huge lack of just microorganisms here. The only things I'm really spotting are just detritus worms and some didyneums, but it's the same couple of didyneums, and it's the large didyneums that I guess they're just managing to find a way and managing to survive, but there's no snails at all. No real sign of copepods, not a lot of Daphnia. Hydra are prevalent here, but they're pretty much immortal to some extent, so those are kind of expected to see. And overall, the microorganisms that I do spot, such as the didyneums, are extremely sluggish, and they don't have a lot of motion or even life within them. The copepods, Daphnia, and snails that I saw in the first sample were super lively. They were interacting with one another. They were very playful. And overall, it just reflected pretty well on the actual state of Alpine Pond itself. This, however, is a pretty sad sight. And overall, this video is just kind of a compilation of microscope shots showing like the most exciting parts of the week. But as you can see, it all just really consists of these didyneums, and there's really small microorganisms that kind of surround them. To the left of this didyneum on screen, actually, there's a small batch of really tiny microorganisms that sometimes occasionally move. But even this didyneum, at some point, it eventually starts moving, but it's extremely sluggish, and I feel like that just indicates how low, I guess, the metabolism of these creatures are, mainly due to the fact that there's not a lot of food sources anymore, and the actual ecosystem isn't as strong as it once was. I feel like the food chain in the first sample was pretty steady. Obviously, there was a sudden decline, but I think that was more just due to the algae buildup that just choked out the actual ecosphere. But even here, we don't see too much algae buildup either, so I don't believe that the oxygen itself is being choked out anymore. I think at this point, the water conditions have just declined heavily, making the actual sample less habitable for, I guess, less adaptable microorganisms. Regardless, thank you so much for watching. I'm not sure how much longer this ecosphere will be able to last, but I think it's a really good indication of just the health of local habitats.